Before the game, Daniel told me he played like Kalashnikov, and I was like, "What's that?" So I looked it up and I like did a little bit of prepping for that. And then he played a Sveshnikov, and I was like, "Oh fuck! I've never looked at this like once." And after in the postmortem, it was funny. He said, "I was gonna play a Nightorf against you, but I saw that last game you played, and I decided not to." I thought that was funny. People won't play into the Nightorf when I'm black, and they won't play it against me when I'm white now. It's funny. Okay, but this is the starting position, e5. And I remembered one idea. This is like a common theme in the opening where it's like, I'm aware of one idea, but it's like only an idea in like one position, and there's like 100 positions that could happen in the first few moves. So I was aware that, okay, d6, otherwise, I just put my knight there. Alright. And then I knew this was a line. He asked me why I played this move, and I was like, it's kind of underground, an unknown move. I saw it in some game by some amateur players. Like, I think that it's pronounced like Caruana Carlson, I think were the players. I don't know though. Kind of a new move. So it takes and knight b8, which is a move. Also, sometimes like they do this. This is what I was aware of, but I just do that. That's all I knew. Knight b8, c4, and then the idea I was aware of here is if a6, queen a4, and if they play knight d7, you play c5, and if they take, you play d6. And like, this is a mess. That's all I knew. That was my only idea. So, but then he went here, which is a good move. This is like maybe the main move? I have no idea. But since I only have one idea, and I haven't looked at anything else, I just played the move anyway. And this makes no sense here, because in this position, black can castle. And why is my queen on a4? The only reason queen a4 makes any sense is because, the king is in the center. But if he can immediately castle, it's just dumb. But then he played bishop d7. And another idea I remembered was that sometimes you like put the queen here and put pressure on the d-pawn. But again, this is dumb because he just castles. So everything I've done was just completely stupid so far. And just nonsense. But then a miracle happened. He gave me the bishop pair, and then he traded the queens. Because everyone knows that when you trade the queens, it's a draw. And I'm here to prove to you that that's not the case. And when the queens come off, it's still very interesting. So let's stop for a moment and examine the position. No, I'm not playing the boa constrictor. I was showing that, okay, I can do what I just did in the Nightorf, but I can also be a boa constrictor. I can do it both, but I've never seen you play the other way. Just saying. Queens come off immediately. Offer a draw. This is the child. Yes. So, okay, so this bishop is not so good. This knight potentially might be good at some point, although right now the square is not really up for grabs because I'll play b4. Probably. I played bishop e3 because I like to develop my pieces. That's just something I enjoy doing. I felt like something like f5 maybe made sense here. F5, like, and I really had no idea what was happening here. If this happened, I was thinking f3, just because. So the way Brian Wall, or I think someone else coined it, but Brian Wall was talking about it a lot. Something that little kids suffer from is it's called push pawnitis. Little kids just tend to just push their pawns a lot when they don't need to, and just create weaknesses. And I think Yasser was talking about it, where he just thought if he was going forward, he was doing something right. But when we push a pawn, that leaves behind something called a weakness. He didn't play f5, by the way, but I'm just saying. Brian had a bad case of push pawnitis this weekend. My favorite game he played, I went over, and it was like move 7, and he had only pushed pawns. He had only moved pawns for 7 moves, and he won that game. So yeah, sometimes new players tend to just push their pawns a lot, aimlessly. I don't know where I was going with this point. But, oh yeah, I thought if f5, I play f3, and I was thinking he'd probably play f4, which is a terrible move. Sorry, squeaky microphone. Because light squares. Need I say more? I don't think I do. But then he played h6. I was like, okay, this is the idea? And then I was thinking, like, maybe he's been learning the Najdorf or something, because this feels Najdorf-esque to me, to trade the dark squared bishops off in this way. And I was like, I don't know, none of that. I'm just not going to allow that. And now I'm thinking, I don't know what black is supposed to do here, but the only plan I could come up with for black, where I think Josh pointed this out to me. I don't think I saw this during the game. But the only plan that makes sense for black is to insist on trading the dark squared bishops like this. It's like the only plan that makes sense, because otherwise your bishop just sucks forever. Which is why his move was so confusing. Well, to me it was just pointless, I thought. And I was like, okay, well this is gonna happen at some point. But again, he's pushing another pawn. I just kind of ignored it, just developed a piece. And then he castled. Okay. So we are what we might call a queenless middle game, although it is pretty close to just being an endgame, I think. And in the endgame, the king belongs in the center. Now, I understand that there's no, like, he wants to connect his rooks, but his pieces are in the way of getting his king moving up. And if he tries something like knight c5 right now, maybe not b4 right away, but I feel like it might be good. Maybe he should induce this somehow, but I don't know, I just feel like that's good for me. So like I don't know, that's like, it's just hard to do anything because his bishop is so bad. This is why he needed to trade it off though. So castles like felt wrong to me, but at the same time I was like, I don't know what he does, but that's his problem to figure out, not mine. But now, kind of without much thought at all, I played g4. Gave that an X-clan. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to take away all hope for any of his pieces, because if he has nothing to do, he's going to continue making weaknesses. So it's kind of like a metagame, but not really. I'm just gonna slowly improve my position, and he's gonna have nothing to do, no plan, and he's just gonna keep making his position worse. So g4 only makes sense because he castled, and I can play king d2. I can move my rook over, g5, g6 sometimes. I have a lot of ideas. Plus, what is he? I just don't know what he does. I just don't know. So he played knight f6. Very difficult position. I mean, it's not his like, it's just a difficult position. I thought e4 here probably is what he has to do. Like 3 or 4 times I thought he had to do this, even when it like hung the pawn a few times. So e4, because he needs to do something. He needs to put his knight on e5. I think he said he was concerned with this pawn being weak or something. But I also have some weaknesses now, at least. That, you know, at least that's something. And at least his pieces can get a little more active. Either king d2 here or castle's queenside, I don't know. The reason I like castle's queenside is because it immediately puts a rook in the center. And then I like set my rooks up like that. Could do this or something and pick off the pawns that way. So I have a lot of, this is the thing, I just have a lot of plans. But knight f6, there's just not a point to it, I don't think. I decided to play f3. I think f3 is really good because it just makes the knight look very sad. Just because now his knight is just misplaced and it's making his bishop even worse. So f3 was like, yeah, I don't know, because maybe f3 could potentially be weak at some point if the f-file opens, but I don't see how he does it. So I went h5, pushing another pawn. I couldn't come up with a plan here either, but h5 felt pretty bad. So I just go g5. g6 might be an idea at some point. but also he just has to retreat a piece. He's just moving his knight back and forth, he's pushing pawns, he's not doing anything. And now I go king d2, just simply. Rooks are connected, his king is weak, his pieces suck, I have a ton of ideas. And then he slams this down, which is what I kind of assumed he would play, because it's pushing a pawn. And I thought for like 8 minutes here, I think. And after the game, he asked me why he didn't understand why I thought so long here. The reason you think a long time here is because the pawn structure is changing. It's kind of a big commitment, whether you take or not, or whether you play f4 and like allow the pawn structure to change in that way or that way. This is a critical position, I felt. So I kind of liked f4 at first because, you know, if he pushes, then he has no... Well, first of all, I'm attacking that, so he can't push. But I also liked the idea that his knight he can't ever even try e4 now to have a good score for his knight. So I liked that. But then I saw that, okay, takes and here, or not here because I'm hanging a pawn, but g6, and then he's gonna go knight e5, and then that's like looking closer to equal already. Because, okay, I can't ever take that knight because then he just has 2 passed pawns, and I like might lose that. That looks terrible. And then his bishop opens up, so now he just like has this horse on e5 that's never going away. So I didn't like that. So I just decided to take here because I noticed that there's no good way to recapture. There's just no good way to take back. There's a problem with everything. Like if he, like rook takes f6, maybe bishop g5, I wasn't so sure. I might think a little longer. But I could also just go rook g1, you know. Kind of no matter what, I might be doing that. Bishop takes, again, I think I just go rook g1 and I'm maybe f4 at some point. I think the way he took was the worst way to take though, because now I have a very clear plan. So look at his light squares. Look at what he did to his poor light squares. And notice how he doesn't have a light square bishop and I do. So naturally, I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna get in there. So what does black do? Notice that knight d7 doesn't work to like stop me from doing this, because I think I just go bishop g6, and if you go back to defend, then I go here, and I thought that was very silly. I liked that a lot. So you can't even stop that plan from happening. So he kind of just has to let me get in there. It's really disgusting. He played a blunder, I thought. This felt like a blunder. I added that in. Because now you can't run, because now that pawn, and now you don't, like, how are you, I just didn't see a possible way to defend the g-pawn. I just didn't see how it was possible. My bishop is still coming to e6, and it's just really, really sad. Terrible position for black. So he played rook h8. I didn't really understand this move, if I'm being honest. I don't really know what to say about it. I guess he just wanted to be able to play king f8 so he doesn't hang a pawn, but this is just really, really horrific. So he plays rook b8, and I assumed that the idea behind rook b8 was to play b5. So I went like this, and I went rook g6, just to double. And again, so if he ever tries to defend the pawn like that, then this idea is going to be reintroduced with this threat. Not here exactly, but he doesn't ever really want to do that. And there's also ideas, if rook h7, I wanted to make this happen somehow. Like, okay, say he does nothing. I thought, well, I guess it doesn't work here. I guess I could go here. But my point is that I want to take the bishop away, and then I want to do that. Pretty much it. I think at some point bishop h6 was an idea, it just wasn't here. Like if he plays knight e8, can I play bishop h6 now? Looks like I can, but I don't know, I guess he just ignores me, so maybe I can't do that. But I thought it looked like an idea, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, I thought this was the idea, but I didn't really care. Because if he goes here, even if his best case scenario, he gets his rook here, it doesn't really matter because I just kick it back and I'm just still attacking him. I don't think it leads to anything. But he went here, this was his idea. He wanted to defend along the 7th, which makes sense. But now I go rook g1, and I'm attacking the pawn. He has a few options. He has 3 technically on how to defend the pawn. He has knight e8, he has bishop e8, bishop d8, and he has rook h7. Knight e8 is what I was expecting, and here bishop g5, I think, is good enough. And as soon as I deflect his bishop away from this diagonal, now b4, c5, even stronger, because he doesn't have a bishop helping. So that's what I was thinking. But then he went bishop d8, and if you remember my idea from 2 seconds ago, was I wanted to get him off this diagonal, but he just did that for me. So I go ahead and I play b4 to play c5. He goes rook c7. Okay. This is my favorite move I played in the whole tournament, so it's not necessarily like the best move, but it's like one of my favorite moves I've ever played. And I thought for 15 minutes here, which is like, why are you thinking so long here? But I wanted to be as accurate as I possibly could. So, like, I want to play c5, but I was having trouble figuring that out, because, again, I was not calculating well. Again. I was just, like, confused. Just looked fucking confusing, and I didn't understand it. c5 is the best move, but I couldn't figure it out. Immediately, my move was in the chat. King d3, Zugzwang. Black is in Zugzwang here. That was my point behind King d3. I spent all this time thinking about c5 and how I could make that work, and then I realized that his pieces are placed pretty much perfectly right now, but if he moves a piece, then he's, like, immediately losing. I know. It's the second best move after c5. But yeah, what the hell does black do? Put definition of Zugzwang into the video here. Okay, well, we'll see. I'll just explain it. Zugzwang is when your position is fine right now, the way it is, but if you have to move, then you're losing. Or at least, then it's not good. So like, if it were my move here, it'd still be bad for him, but he would be fine just sitting here. And I was just overjoyed. So now he has nothing to do. So he plays rook h7. Now what? I'll tell you what. You're still in Zugzwang, bitch. He's not a bitch. I just, the hypothetical chess position bitch. Okay. So, but, like, okay, he had to put his rook on h7, which is, like, a terrible move. And he has to make another terrible move. So he plays knight d7, but now that his rook is on h7, and I made him make these bad moves, now I play bishop f5. And now everything is, like, collapsing violently. So I'm threatening rook takes d6 with discoveries on the rook here. It's just fucking hideous. So he has this one idea that I had to look at before I went into this of e4 check. Idea being, if I recapture like an idiot, then he plays knight e5. And then if I do something dumb like this, like he's attacking here and he's threatening mate, so I could get mated if I wanted to. But here it was like, and if I just do something like that, I mean that's really fucking annoying. So I saw that I could just go king e2, takes on f3, king f1. Completely safe. And now, if he ever takes on c4, it doesn't matter because my bishop is so well placed on my bishop is so well placed on e3 that there's no checks ever. This is also well placed, but that's not what I meant. Yeah, also h4 is hanging, so I didn't want to go to f2. That would just be bad. So now, what does black do? I don't know. Big threat. I am also threatening to just go rook g3 and takes with tempo. If knight f6, this does not work because of this. This is defended. That would not be ideal. However, I would just do this, I think. So, it's hard to find a move. Same thing with bishop f6. He takes with the knight now, and he's doing just fine there. It's probably equal. But this is the bigger threat. So he goes here, because I don't really know. I thought one of these two moves looked good. Now what, though? Oh, wait, did he do that? Oh, no, he played this weird move. I thought that was weird. That's why I had trouble remembering it. Yeah, he's defending his pawn, but now this whole maneuver with rook b7 to defend along the 7th, you're just, like, counteracting that, I felt. It's very passive. You need to play some active move. I don't know. But, yeah, now I go here. Threats on the board. I thought maybe he would try bishop takes h4, and if I just go here, the knight e5 is extremely annoying. But I was thinking this, and I don't know what's happening, but I feel like I'm winning. I'm up a piece. That's what's happening. I don't think I realized that when I put these notes in, that I was up a piece, but I'm up a piece. So that's not good. So he just played rook h8, but now I'm not taking here. The point actually wasn't to do this. I just wanted him to think it was. This is the point. And I finally took that g-pawn. It's like my whole plan has been this whole game. So he plays knight e5, but now I have a nice way to just finish the game here. It's thematic with the rest of my play too. So it was very satisfying. Yeah, just bishop e6 again. And I'm threatening mate. And how are you responding to this? I was thinking he would try knight g4. It's like, oh, he's disconnecting the rooks. It's interesting. But the problem with this is I take bishop d4 check, bishop e6, and this is dead lost. It's just these bishops are too fucking strong. I might even be able to give up my rook and still be winning, to be honest. That's how I feel. Probably not, but it feels that way. If my pawns were like more secure on their own, and my king was slightly more active, I feel like I could give him a rook. But he just, yeah, he had enough, I suppose. He played bishop d8, which has a small issue with it, being that this is checkmate. And I thought that was a very beautiful way to finish this game, because his king just never got safe. It's like so uncomfortable, the way that this king is right now. So claustrophobic. So, compared this game to my first game, I feel like I played a little better. Yeah, I was playing a weaker player, but I don't know. I was just happy with it. I was happy to recover from those two embarrassing losses. They weren't embarrassing because my opponents were weak. My opponents were very good chess players, but it was the way in which I lost that was embarrassing. I think I should lose to those, well, at least the first person. But the way in which I did it was just humiliating. So, but I was able to come back from that and just enjoy playing. That's basically how I had to do it, though. I was like, fuck it. I mean, I think a few years ago, I would have thought, I had this weird mindset where if I had a bad game, then it equaled a bad tournament. And then I would, like, kind of, it was just inevitable that the rest of my games would be bad, too. But it's like, that doesn't make sense. That's just not how anything works. It's like this weird need for things to be cohesive. And it's also weird, like beating a high-rated player and, like, playing really well and then only getting 1 rating point. And then trying to not think about, well, if I hadn't lost that game in the second round, then I would have gained, like, 30 rating points. But it's fine, you know. I found some interesting ideas, so